We're back. I'm Dawn DeKaiser, and this is the Summit Writers Making Money. Lose the ego, tap into your talent, and bring in cash in these weird ass apocalyptic times. And today I get to talk to Jill Condon, who's right over here on the screen. And I'm going to not let her speak while I introduce her. Okay. So Jill Condon, a 20-year veteran of television comedy. She started her career as an intern on the original Cosby Show while attending New York University. I was going to say NYU. Her writing and producing credits include Ned and Stacy, Friends, Grounded for Life, and Raising Hope. And by the way, her Friends episode, the one with the embryos, is ranked number 21 in TV Guide's top 100 TV episodes of all time. And I want to just point out that a lot of people don't know it as the one with the embryos where Phoebe gets implanted with the embryos. They know it as it was the episode where they did a trivia contest and they lost their apartment. So the girls and the guys had to switch apartments. And it was an awesome episode. Let's see. Today, you have also written pilots, including The Glamorous Life, the scripted spinoff of America's Top Model for Tyra Banks. And you have a feature film credit that includes Malcolm in the Middle, the movie. Okay, as if all that weren't enough, today, Jill Condon is the director of the Television Writing and Producing Master's Program at Chapman University. That's a lot.
I sound so impressive, don't I?
You are so impressive.
I spent a lot of time at home being depressed in my life. It sounds great when you put it all together, though.
Oh my God. Yes, we've all done that time at home. So let's talk about first how you and I know each other.
Oh gosh, don't put a year on it, for God's sake. Let's say longer than 20 years.
That's right. We were in a writers group that we formed together. Maybe you were the one who spearheaded it.
I am trying to remember now because I know it was us. Lori Kirkland, Emmy winner for Frasier. We all went on to work.
Yes, we
let's
did.
See. Who else? Oh, Lori Paris.
Judy Toll was in there in our beginning years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She went on to, did she win an Emmy for Sex and the City, or was she just nominated? I can't remember.
And she also did guest appearances on Curb Your Enthusiasm. I mean, she was the best. And so many years ago, Jill and I were in this writers group together, and it went on off and on for many, many years. And it was just one of the most valuable things that we were able to create, especially as women writers in the 90s. Oh my God.
The emotional support was an integral part of our success, I think, because we could all lean on each other. So, I tell my students that there is nothing better than a writers group where you trust the opinions of the other writers. It's inspiring. You get so much more than you give in those situations. So it's always, and you don't have to be in LA. We were all like-minded sitcom writers, but any town has people that want to write, and you can form one.
Yeah, that's right. It was also where we would meet regularly to talk about what jobs were open. Mm-hmm. And at the time it was, so they need their girl writer on that show. Mm-hmm. So sorry, your interview is before mine and you'll probably get that. And it was just like this collective. Yeah, it was a really good collective. And so, as you know, obviously the industry might have changed just a little bit since we started, but smidge. But what is still the same? And it may be just what we were talking about.
I think what's the same is that good writing will get you noticed. And that it's a little bit of a fallacy that you have to know someone, and networking helps, being in Los Angeles helps, but ultimately good writing is what gets you where you want to be, I think.
Yeah, I mean that has definitely held. That's been the case. And writers today have so many more resources at their
Yeah.
fingertips than we ever
Mhm.
did. And that's what one thing that I want to stress is that there are free courses and classes and
Uh,
summits and master classes, and all of that is something that you should be doing, if I can put a should on it, as a way to, while you're getting your writing at its best level, that you're also improving your craft, and in also being able to find money to bring in between your gigs.
mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
something.
no, that is something that's changed quite a bit. We had network shows that ran for 22 episodes that paid well and paid residuals. And now it is much more streaming. It is much more 10 episodes. And particularly for newer writers, it's a little bit of a gig economy because there can be space between that one writer's room and another writer's room. They even have mini rooms now where you go in to break an entire series with a writer, and then they decide if they will pick to show up. So you're essentially, they want to know what kind of legs this series has. And so they want to know what those episodes are going to be. And as we know, you can't write an entire series by yourself. Well, a few people do, but in general, you can't write a series by yourself, especially the complex storytelling that they're doing today. I mean, think about Severance or,
Yeah.
gosh, Yellow Jackets. I mean, they're doing such interesting, in-depth story work, and you really need a bunch to help you with
Yeah.
that stuff. And so, newer writers, I've heard them describe it as sort of a gig economy for them when they're starting out, because there can be spaces in between employment, and also streaming does not pay what network pays.
Mm.
And so it's very different for today's writer. We were lucky in that there was sort of a system in place. I am very hopeful that the Writers Guild will help us with that, because streaming, back in our day, it was sort of the newer networks, and they couldn't pay you all that the other networks paid for your script. They just didn't have the money. Those Fox folks at Murdoch, they didn't have it. And so it was a lesser fee for scripts, and
Yeah.
then eventually the Writers Guild went, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. You're paying the same. And it's time for them to do that for streaming platforms. And I believe they will.
Yeah.
I know some people complain about what the Writers Guild does and does not do. I am I am a guild girl. I think we would have nothing were it not for the Writers Guild. And
Yeah.
have we been out on one or two strikes in our career? I feel like I know at least one.
Yeah, the one in 2007, 2008, but then
Mhm.
before that, I think it was in the maybe the late 80s or the 90s. I don't remember that
I
one.
think we might have missed that one, but we were doing fine. We
Yeah.
weren't striking for us. We were striking for the younger writers. And now the younger writers that, work at Fox, it's exactly the same as working for a network, because
Mhm.
it is. And so it's time for that to happen with streaming. And I believe the Guild is going to make that happen.
Yes, I'm a big guild person too. I was a strike captain in that day. And what you were saying about, and yes, they provide us with the best healthcare, and this is all things that we fought for and for future writers. One thing you were saying about new writers, it being a gig economy, that's so true. And the other thing about writing in these rooms and breaking stories, a lot of that is unpaid work.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
the
Uh,
pitching, the
the pitching.
oh, going out, and I mean, because to pitch, you put together essentially a pilot. I mean, maybe you don't actually write the dialogue, but you know everything that's going to happen. They now request Bibles, which we did not have to do, where you tell them what the series arc is for season 2, season 3, maybe season 4. And it's so short-sighted and so non-creative, because you're giving them something without ever seeing the actors do it. You know, what kind of special things can having a cast there bring to your project? And the answer is, oh, everything. But you're just kind of stabbing in the dark, going, well, this is what I see, I hope you see it too. And also, we now have to do pitch decks, all of us, because apparently reading documents is too hard. Yeah, no, I have not a lot of love for the system as it is now, because it's just a way for bean counters to add more to the stew. And when you don't have a chef making a stew, you get crap. I do hear that the streamers are somewhat better in terms of noting us, and having us change things. They have learned the lesson that maybe we just trust this and see how it goes to a certain extent. But in general, when writers are left alone, things turn out better. And
yeah,
I feel like the powers that be know that, but then they wouldn't have jobs. So they don't leave us alone. Despite all of this stuff that comes at you, it really is about a vision as a writer and sticking to it. And, one in 1,000 producers gives you a fabulous note and is unbelievably helpful. And I've been lucky. I know, a few dozen of them, but how many have we met? 10,000? So it's
a lot.
Yeah, there's nothing greater than someone who can understand a script and be helpful and be a new pair of eyes. That is not the case, though, when you're dealing with people sometimes. So it's hard. It's hard out there.
It's hard out there. And that brings us to where you are today. I want to hear a little bit about your job at Chapman University, and tell us about also how the university has come to be in the top 5 film schools in the country.
Yes, we just made number 4 this year. Dodge College of Film and Media Arts. To be honest, I had never heard of Chapman University. I got a phone call from a friend of a friend. Someone was ill. Could I please take a freshman class? It would not be difficult. It was so in my wheelhouse, and I just hemmed and hawed. I don't really like kids. This is not going to be for me. Right. But I also at the time was at home with young kids, and there's always something to do when you've got kids in the house other than write. And I mean, I would go places and try and write, and I was not getting much done at all. Yeah. It was getting depressing. I was still selling probably a pilot a year, so I was able to make a living, but it's lonely when you're used to writing in a writer's room and being sort of a worker bee. I found it very difficult. I have friends that loved it and loved their time at home. Yeah. I'm not quite built that way. And so when I got here, and to be honest, the reason that I accepted was because it came with an office, and I was like, well, I could get some writing done at least. Yes. And I got here, and it sort of coincided with a new dean starting. And the new dean came in and really, really pushed diversity, which was something that I think was a real problem at the school. He pushed blending our writing programs together, television and film, because it's all writing for the screen now, and it's kind of all the same. And he really, really, his name is Stephen Galloway, and he was the editor of the Hollywood Reporter. And so he came in and he went, bang, we are going to have master classes with true masters. We're actually having Ted Sorensen in a couple weeks. And we've had the most amazing visitors where we have master classes. We jumped from number 6 to number 4 in terms of film schools. So Dodge is the number 4 film school behind AFI, USC, and NYU, I believe.
Amazing.
And we're smaller. We can't compete with them, but we can do other things. In other words, my class sizes are 8, 10. And it's a master's. Undergrad, they do have bigger classes, but for graduate, they don't mess around. And so I've been able to teach, discover I love it, discover that being around these kids and their enthusiasm and their hopes and their dreams. I have written more since I started here than I did, I want to say, in the 5 years, but while I was, at home, just writing a pilot once a year.
That's amazing. That's really such a big shift in your career.
And mentally, I'm a big proponent of talking about how hard it can be to be a writer, and how destructive and how much rejection you can get. And I will never not in some way volunteer to help younger writers. I will, because it keeps you active, it keeps you producing, it keeps you you understand what's going on, because these kids, it's just, constantly, so it keeps you up to date, it keeps you in the world. I just recommend, even if you are not a writer and that's not your skill set, or if you're a writer but you can't find a way to teach, some kind of volunteer work, some kind of mentoring. I wish I had understood that when I was sitting at home feeling like I had nothing to offer anyone, other than my 2 kids, because that's how it felt. Yeah.
That is amazing. You're the first person to talk about mentoring and volunteering, which is huge in order to bring in abundance and wealth, whether it's money or anything. You have to give of yourself.
1,000%. And I don't even, how there's an element to that that's very like The Secret and some karma and religious. I don't even believe in any of that, but I am here to tell you, what I put out, I get back times 100. And so I will never not, it's selfish in a way. I will never not give what I can, because it comes back at you massively in any way. And so, had I even understood that at the time, I would have been down at like the shelter or something. I would have started it much sooner, and I will never not do that again. To me, it is everything.
That's really great to hear. That's really something. Speaking of your grad program, how and mentoring younger people, how does your program sort of prepare them for going out into the world and going into TV and film industry, which is so rocky, as you know?
It's rough. And it is, you're in a position to go, I'll help you do this and you'll pay tuition. And as a writer, I make sure that I'm honest with them. And because the dean has been terrific and is sort of like, he read the student evaluations, he talked with me, and he understood that I was trying to do a very practical program. And so one of the things that we encourage is internships, because it is a fabulous way into the industry. If you can afford it, you're made in our program to take one. If you can afford it, we encourage you to take as many as you can. And we have a career center here that places them in fantastic internships. We also teach them how to write scripts for shows that already exist, because it's an amazing framework to learn how does this work? What are the rules of it? And with a show that already exists, because many students come in and are, oh, I want to write my pilot, but they don't quite understand the rules yet. And so we spend some of our first year with them writing a comedy and a drama that already is on the air and that they can use in their portfolio as a spec script. Right. And we really stress their writing portfolio, because again, it's wonderful if you understand and can analyze, a film or a television show, but those scripts in your portfolio get you the work. And so we do.
Are you saying the spec script or the?
Well, okay. The second year we do 2 pilots. So
okay, original year, pilots?
Yes. First year you practice and you get those 2 in your portfolio. Second year, you get 2 of your pilots. We do back-to-back thesis classes, and I ride them. You know what I mean? I don't sugarcoat it. And people are in different places in their journey. I've had kids that go out, and I have one that's a creative exec already. Oh. But we all have to put in our 10,000 hours. And so sometimes, you're going to graduate and you're going to get an assistant job and you're going to keep practicing, which, by the way, is what we all did. We were all writer's assistants or executive producer assistants, PAs. Being an assistant at an agency can be very helpful. There's a pathway, but because of how our business is, it's not quite clear. So we teach them the pathway and we help them get there, and we get their scripts, specs, and pilots where, as good as they can be. And they go out without blinders on, and they go out understand, I tell them stories about the writer's room. I explain to them how rough it can be out there. I think very luckily for them, and I just had a conversation about this with one of our other writer friends. And I said, what do you think the numbers are in terms of a room where it's, abusive and not any fun to be a woman or a person of color or someone who's LGBTQ?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's half? Because the newbies are coming. And she actually said she thinks it's only about a quarter now. So I think that's fantastic news.
Yeah.
I'm so, I have such love for the generation under us. I feel like we and women like us broke the glass ceiling, and these women that came behind us went, I want maternity leave. They just kicked that door in. And what's so fabulous now, to come from an age where we would hear our agents would tell us, oh, we have our woman on the staff, and to come where we are now, and also to be teaching students who are going to hear, oh, we have our diverse representation, our person, we have our LGBTQ person, and they are just not going to stand for it. They're, they're going to kick that door in, and it's going to be gone forever. And so it's been so gratifying to be on the ground level and see what these kids are fighting for, and to know how much better it's getting for them. To watch the Emmys this year, I mean, every woman writer I know was practically in tears, because we know what it's like to be an other, and to fight your way into that business.
Yeah, we did a lot of good work in laying the groundwork. And by the way, when you're talking about percentage of these rooms, I got an email today from the Women in Film, and it was about abuse and harassment in Hollywood. We're 5 years out from the Me Too movement, and they did a survey, and it says over 83% of respondents said the culture has improved since #Me Too. since the movement started in Hollywood in 2017. But 69% have reported personally experiencing abuse or misconduct in the last 5 years. It's not surprising. It's one of those continuums that we are definitely on and definitely headed in the right direction. And the students that you have now, they are much more aware, they are much more vocal and sure of themselves and who they are individually than when we stumbled into it. It was like, okay, they have their girl writer. I hope this other show will
Need one.
consider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll take a lady in the room. I hope so.
A
Fingers crossed.
lady writer.
I do want to say, by the way, because white guys are really taking a beating,
Yeah.
older white men, and for every jackass who misbehaved, I must know 15 older white men who bent over backwards to be kind, to be mentoring, to be helpful. I mean,
Yeah.
people on my Christmas card list today who I would not be here without their help. But there is that sort of overarching, industry issues. But yes, I believe that it's going to just get better and better and better. And I love that this generation is just not having it. It's like, go, you guys.
I know. I
So
know.
gratifying.
It's been there was a sea change in the industry. And I've talked to a lot of my good friends who happen to be white male writers. They are taking a beating. And I said, look, all your writing is still as valuable as it ever was. You will be in and out of the industry, but you are up against what we've always been up against. And it sucks. And I did see a change in people and in the personality of the writers' rooms that I was in. They got kinder. People were more grateful to be working. And this was even prior to the Me Too movement. This is when, staffs got smaller and seasons got shorter. Mm-hmm. And I would find myself in these rooms and people were really happy to be there, better at taking care of each other and the show. So it's all been very positive, even though it's had its growing pains. So, and I promised that I would keep this pretty short, but I want to end on, can we talk about you and your writing partner? Are you writing a book?
Yeah. Yes.
I
set up, Dawn. We're old friends. Are you?
Yes.
Well, not only we've since we both had kids, we took time off, and I wrote some pilots alone. She did not want to write pilots at all. Her kids are younger than mine. And she has actually joined the teaching brigade. She's teaching courses at USC. And the same thing happened to her that happened to me. She went, really, me? And then she went, oh, they like it when we know how to do it. And we tell them, turns out we can do it. Yeah. And like me, she called me up and went, I want to write something, which is, it just wasn't happening. And so we decided to write a YA for our daughters. And, I think it'll sell. We're going to go out and pitch it. But if it doesn't, what a joy it was to create that again. And again, something that came from teaching and mentoring. I did a seminar kind of thing, and a woman from the UK contacted me and said, would you be interested in writing a book? It's a how to write for television book, but a little bit more of a save the cat, and a little bit more for sort of mid-level and upper level, people that are close to cracking it and into the business and who are sort of looking for some tips and some, sort of like some of the real scoop. And so that should be out next year, but honestly, we're so busy and we started writing another pilot that we are farther behind in the on the deadline than we should be. But yes, fingers crossed,
Yeah.
we'll have a book. So
That's incredible. I love that you and Amy have found this resurgence in creativity and your ability to write. I mean, that haunts all of us, especially in those quiet times.
yep.
And to get so much energy from mentoring and volunteering, and to find that energy to write, I mean, as a parent,
Ugh.
if that just goes out the window for a long stretch of time, I will do whatever I can to promote your YA and your version of Save the Cat, whatever it's going to be called. I love the Save the Cat theory. I love their books. And I know that whatever you have brewing, it's going to be amazing.
Oh, knock on some wood somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Jill Condon.
Thank you so much, Dawn DeKaiser.
So wait, let me put us in gallery view so we can say our goodbyes. I would normally stick around and then just like gossip at the end, but we can't because I gotta go on another.
I understand. And by the way, I have 86 student scripts to read.
Well, get on it. Get on it. Okay.
Will do.
Love you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.